English language learners are children in the U.S. whose English proficiency is low, usually determined based on a cutoff score on an oral or written test. Many children who speak a non English language at home are capable in English, who are capable in English are not English language learners. ESL, English as a second language. This is when all children who do not speak English are placed together in an intensive course to learn basic English so that they can be educated in other classes with native English speakers. Immersion or dual immersion is often what I hear it called, is when instruction in school subjects occurs in multiple languages. So there's a lot of schools, there's a lot in Utah. There's a lot, I think, in Washington State. I think I've heard Northern Virginia has few. Basically, you have a second language that's taught in the school. So I have a friend whose kids go to a Mandarin school. So half the subjects they do every day in Mandarin, half the subjects they do every day in English. So the kids are actively learning two languages at the same time, which I think I haven't seen kind of the outcome of this down the road, but I can expect if kids are practicing and using the language, then they'll be at a much greater advantage going forward. About 82% of bilingual children in the U.S. Speak English well. That's up from about 40% in 1980. So we are improving on, not shutting kids down when they speak multiple languages. Historically, in U.S. culture, we've said, pick a language, this is it. But we're seeing so many benefits to people being bilingual, and the reality is most of the world is bilingual. So there's a lot of benefits to kids getting this education. The hidden curriculum is exactly kind of what it says here: unofficial, unstated, or implicit patterns within a school that influence what children learn. It's not a formally prescribed education, but the kids do kind of pick up on these little variations. So this can be based on, any number of things really. What courses are offered, when the courses are offered, so schedule. Teacher characteristics: are all your teachers white middle-aged women, or is there some diversity? But do you have any male teachers? Do you have any teachers of a minority background? Who is teaching you? What sports are offered in your school? What extracurricular activities are available? Who's on the student government? Where's my school located? What pictures are on the wall? Um, uh, there's a million things. I think people, now that we're kind of becoming aware that there is this hidden curriculum and people are talking about it, a lot of exciting changes are happening. There's a juvenile detention center in Richmond that, their walls, like top to bottom, are lined with college flags and different people who have been kind of influencers in not just the media, but in just really all walks of life, who are not just the presidents, who are predominantly older white men. Um, and so that's really exciting. Like, if you don't see the colleges around, maybe you don't know what your options are. If you don't see diverse people doing great things, maybe you don't know that they're doing great things. So it's really essential that we talk about the hidden curriculum and that it's acknowledged, and we can kind of learn from that. Um, International testing is a bit like IQ testing for me. I struggle with having these international standards. Um, However, everyone's doing it. So the Trends in Math and Science study is done all over the world. Um, and so they feel like it's a useful test. However, other countries' scores are not always comparable based on sample selection, how the test was administered, making sure they're delivering the same content. Um, but this, but regardless, we're still carrying on with these. I think you can read more about these in your book. It looks like table 7.1 and 7.2. Finnish elementary school students do not score much better or worse than their United States peers on these tests, but educators in Finland do not believe that tests in childhood are the best measure of learning. They prefer to focus on using knowledge later on, which is interesting because Finland has kind of recently shifted their curriculum and how they deliver their education, and their numbers are just flying through the roof. They're doing their leaps and bounds, surpassing everyone else, and maybe it's because they do have this idea that why are we so focused on testing when testing's not really a measure of what you actually know. They do, one good thing that these tests do is they give different questions based on your culture. So like the IQ test, for example, does not do that. It's a huge flaw in the IQ test. So we just kind of expect and assume everyone to know the same thing. But in these international tests, they realize that not everyone is going to know or understand the same thing. So they try to be fair on that and represent the diversity of the world. Girls are typically ahead of boys in reading, in no matter where we live. The gender differences in math has gone away. It used to be that boys were much higher, and now it's pretty much even. Girls have always really had higher report card grades, including in math and science. So this is what we're finding from these international studies.